The town of Dawnstar, an often forgotten little port town on the northern coast of Skyrim, nestled between ancient mountains and the chilly northern sea. But what's really going on underneath the surface of this odd and hard-working town? How is the local economy doing? Well, that is what I'm going to figure out today as we do another unemployment report, this time for the city of Dawnstar. Okay, hello folks. I have a question for you. What is the best way to get a sense of the unemployment in a local area? That's right, we've got to do a direct survey of all the citizens of Dawnstar, every single one, including this little kid. And then we will add up all of that data and present it to you in a press conference at the end. But let's not get ahead of ourselves here. It looks like Dawnstar is kind of shaped in a half circle around this little bay. So I'm going to start on the far end of the half circle and then work my way around just so I can keep my head on straight. Of course, there are plenty of guards in any city in Skyrim, and typically we count all of the guards at the end, which I think we will probably do again today. Now we're going to start with everybody who's outside first and foremost, and on the far end of the town we have these two gentlemen. This is a good sign, let me tell you.
If I get any rest soon, count myself richer than a king.
Ay, ay, ay. That is a working man's face if I ever seen one. My God, look at him.
I mine. Work the smelter.
This man works. He's proud of his work, but he does really want a break. So hopefully his boss can give him one. That's none of my business. He's employed. Now, what about you, sir? How are you? Legal.
I own the Quicksilver mine. It's a better life than working in that damned ironbreaker mine.
Okay, so he owns a mine. Well, we also saw him actively working over there. So in addition to owning the mine, he also works in the mine, which is good. You like to see an owner that's actually putting in some work. And that does, of course, make him employed. Now, he did say something interesting, which is he owns a mine, and his mine is better than another mine. So the fact that there are at least two mines in this town does mean that we are looking at a mining town situation. And that usually means lots of health problems, but also lots of employment. And it also means we're going to have two mines to look inside of, but I guess we'll take care of that later. Down on the docks here, we got a couple of folks sitting on a boat. How are you doing, boat people? What's your name?
I plan to spend all the days I got left on the water.
Okay, that implies that you're quite old, but it also kind of implies that you're working on this boat, because this does not look like a sort of a recreational skiff. So this guy works on this boat, even though he's old enough to retire, just because he loves it. You know, like I was saying, mining towns, a lot of sadness, a lot of stress, a lot of overworked people, but a lot of working people. For example, this elf is working. You look like you work on this boat as well, is that true?
Not a day goes by that I don't think about finding a new ship.
Well, that's great news. Looks like you're doing a great job swabbing the poop deck, my elven friend. And who are you?
I want my crewmen to enjoy their work.
Not a day goes by that I don't think about finding a new ship.
Crewman? Well, that's a lovely philosophy you have there, Mr. Employed Ship Captain, it sounds like. You can be empathetic, but don't be pushover. That's my advice to you, Mr. Boatman. Anybody out this way? A lot of houses. Oh, got someone sitting up here. Who are you?
I'm so tired.
Yeah, that's what it is when you live in a place like this. Oh. Well, there you go. She helps her husband run the forge. What can you tell me about this place, Seren? Any information that might be helpful?
Not much.
Okay, thanks. You must be this woman's husband, is that right?
Seems like no one is getting a decent night's rest in Dawnstar, stranger.
Well, that's because everyone's getting a decent day of work, you know? Now, can you please stand up and turn around so I can put the thing? Yeah, thank you. Turn around. Perfect. Stand right there. Oop, a couple of folks walking around here. What do we got? Looks like a rich person and a bodyguard, is that right? Are you employed? You are wearing like a rich person's garb, and you do look old as hell. So maybe you're just like a retired rich person?
Horik and I have lived here ever since I retired.
Oh, amazing. I appreciate you being forthright about it. Now that does mean that this is your bodyguard, right? He also looks extremely old, but still employed. You know, these people they won't give up their work, no matter what happens. Not a lot of people out and about in this place. Oh, hello.
The Museum of the Mythic Dawn is open, friend.
Oh, you own a museum? Wow. It's really cool that you're a museum owner.
Let's talk inside.
Sure, I'll ask you about your employment inside. I don't think it is really up for question, but, you know, I'll take a look and just make sure it's a legitimate business. Okay, this does look an awful lot like a house. but I guess you've got some display cases over here.
I'll just be tending the museum if you need me.
Okay, well, I appreciate all of your kindness telling me a bunch of stuff I don't know anything about, but I think that's all the information I need from you. Ooh, a sad man on a boat. Is this our first unemployed person?
Looking to hire a boat?
Oh, hire a boat. Okay, so you do have a job. Well, unfortunately, I don't need to leave yet, but maybe when we do our survey of Winterhold, you can take me there, because I believe that's on the coast. But for now, Harlog, only thing I need from you is a smiling, happy working face. Not trying to jinx it, but so far, we have a literal 100% employment rate in this old town of Dawnstar. Uh-oh, a drinking man. Oh no, this is that one guy. Yeah, he works at the mine, so everything's fine. He doesn't count. All right, is there anybody else outside? I know there's at least one more mine, so I should probably go look for it. Oh, a couple more people up here. This place is deceptively large. Thought it was gonna be a small little place, but no. Hello, sir.
Can't sleep well no matter how much drink I put in me.
Drinking actually makes you sleep worse. Maybe you should try and cut the addiction.
I'm no one special, just a miner who swings a pickaxe for his drinking money.
Well, that does make you special, though, doesn't it? Because swinging a pickaxe is employment. Man, you look like you're doing all the work. This guy's just hanging out. Oh, wow, that was very aggressive. You must be the owner of this mine. Oh, there you go.
I pay a good wage for any iron ore you dig up.
How much is a good wage? Is that like an actual good wage, or is it like when you get a job and it says competitive wages, but it actually just means the bare minimum? I suppose I can't ask that question in Skyrim. But hey, congratulations on owning and being employed in this mine. Nice. Okay, and then there's you. You definitely work, right? Wow, look at this labor happening right now. Remember, labor is life, even if it kills you. Okay, anybody else? Got a guard here. I'll take care of that later. Another guard up here. And that looks like about the edge of town. This is like a little farm.
Need something?
Ah! A child. Why are you carrying a pot? Where are your parents, kid?
They're dead.
Oh, okay. What are you hurrying around for, little kid? Are you doing some sort of labor?
I'm running food and supplies to the miners.
Wow, even the kids are working here. See, I knew this was going to be the type of place that had a lot of employment. Now, kids don't actually count towards our survey in terms of the employment numbers because we try not to encourage child labor whenever possible. But I know a lot of you argue that I should count the kids when they're employed, but I can't just start now, you know? What the heck is this? Is this a dead body? Oh, shit. Fruki. If Fruki was alive, it looks like Fruki would have been employed, but Fruki has unfortunately passed away at the time of the survey. Rest in peace, Fruki. Rest in peace, Fruki. May you rest in peace, Fruki. Let's see. Is that all of the outdoor laborers aside from the guards? I guess let's do another quick lap around and see. Got those two. I got the mines. I got those two. I got the museum guy. That looks like everybody outside. Okay, great. In that case, let's move on. Next up, we got to start going inside. Now, we do have the two mines that we have to look in for more laborers. We're going to do that at the end. We're going to do exactly as expected. We're going to go from one end of the town all the way to the other end of the town, going building by building, door to door, to find all the employment we can. Now, I am going to pop my head back in the museum here, just in case someone else has gone in there. But most likely, it's just going to be that one guy. Yes, nobody else. Hello, sir. Next up, we have, this looks like a residential home. Now, one thing a lot of people don't know is that working for the Bureau of Labor Statistics, you have permission to break and enter into people's homes as long as you don't cause a disturbance. It's still recommended that you wait for the police to not be around because they tend to not know about that law. All right, let's see if there's anybody in here.
The yarn. Stop right there.
Okay, well, that didn't work. Next up, we got this double-decker house. Usually, this buildings like this have a place of business underneath, and this one looks like it has some sort of apothecary, little potion store. So we'll pop our head in here. Hello, old lady. How are you? You run this shop?
Let me know if you come down with the rattles.
I really like your shop, lady. It's super well organized. Very, very clean, very tidy. Thank you for not only being employed, but also, you know, running a nice place of business. Well, this is like the seat of the government. I guess we can jump in here now, take care of all this. Because you know there's going to be plenty of plenty of employment in the government. Maybe people who should be unemployed, but... Hello, everybody. How are we doing today? What's your name, sir?
Just a servant of Skald the Elder.
Oh, you're a servant.
There's no honor in being a Jarl's servant.
Well, there is spiritual honor in laboring, and you are laboring. Up here, of course, we have some sort of guard. That's wonderful. Definitely a job.
I've been in charge of Dawnstar for over 35 years.
I would have guessed it'd be 3,500 years based on those arms. Another Skeletor man who is employed, but should probably retire. Let's check this back room here. Oh, a wizard.
I cut enough young lives short. I'm not gonna do it again.
Beggars can't be choosers. If you're gonna work, if someone wants you to murder people. What about you, sir? Oh boy, you look like an army man. And if I know anything about army men, it's that they're employed. Okay, that's everyone in the castle. Nice place. Everyone in here is kind of a downer, but it's fine. This isn't a happiness survey, it's an employment survey. Maybe if we do a happiness survey of Skyrim, we can see like which place has the happiest citizens.
Everything all right?
But that sounds like too much work for me. Okay, I just did a run around on all of the residential houses here. It does seem like pretty much all of them are people that we either have talked to or will talk to outside. The only one I'm not 100% sure on is Irgnir, so I do have to figure out who that is. But aside from that, all the residential houses are not going to be relevant to the rest of this survey, which means there's just a couple more buildings that I have to do over here. Building number 1, what is this? Oh, this looks like this is a guardhouse. I'll come count the guards later, but I guess let's look in the cells and see if there's anybody in there. Hello, prisoners. Any prisoners today?
I have a lot of respect for the Restoration School.
Okay, you got no prisoners today? No? Alright. And then, of course, we have to check the local inn, because you know there's about to be at least a couple employed people in here. Good evening, people of the inn. Ah! Nice, look at this. We got a bard. And it's a drumming bard, which is good. Santa Claus.
No.
This is another employed man. Now, what's your deal? Do you work here? Is that like a cleaning bucket? Are you a maid? What's wrong with everyone around here? Why is everyone so sad?
The entire town is being plagued by horrible nightmares.
So this guy's like a wizard, and he's come here to like fix everyone in the town from being depressed all the time, which is really pretty noble. That does kind of imply that he isn't from here and he's just kind of visiting. At least the way he talks, that's what it sounds like. So I feel like almost certainly this guy's not a resident. And that's everyone in the inn. How nice. Okay, now I believe that aside from counting all the guards, that's going to be everyone inside of any buildings. We have one more big undertaking before wrapping it up with the guards, and that is to... Wow, you're just staying out here working? Anyway, yeah, we have to go in the mines and see if there's anybody in there. It's entirely possible that all the workers were just working out here, but, you know, it is my duty to be certain. So we're going to start here with mine number 1. Pop our heads in. Hopefully we don't find anything unsavory in here. Hello? Anybody in here? Oh, there is a person in here. What's your name, miss?
Here to dig, that's all.
Well, fair enough. Look at this guy. He's working well into the night. What is it? It's almost 10 p.m. This guy's swinging away. And he's got a backup pickaxe, so he doesn't have to go sharpen it.
Been working in Ironbreaker since I was a boy.
Since you were a boy. Okay, so child labor definitely on the table culturally, as is adult labor, which this guy's an example of. Is there anybody else in here, or is it just you two? I think it's just you two from what I can tell. And you guys are, man, you're really burning the midnight oil. Trying to get that iron out, but it sounds like you get paid by the iron rather than by the hours, so you might as well work while those muscles are good, right? Okay, now it's time for mine number 2. Let's see if this one's any less jolly. Immediately the vibes are a little bit less sort of regulated in here. Definitely a little more haphazard, but okay. We still got some employment. How are you, sir? Having a nice time working?
Quicksilver ore is rare, worth digging.
Man, these people are like junkies for digging, I'll tell you. Man, they are perfectly in sync. Do you think they do that on purpose? This is like a very depressing existence, isn't it?
Mining's an honest trade. No real tricks to it.
You're not wrong. You know, I know in some ways it's not that different, you know, with like modern jobs, but I sure am glad that our jobs aren't as much like that anymore. And the ones that are like that, like working on an oil rig, you get paid like a gajillion dollars to do. Actually, that's not true because people work in like slaughterhouses for $7 an hour. So I guess I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, I believe that is everything. I think that the only thing left is to sprint around and count the guards. Is that right? Gofruki's, Quicksilver Mine, yes. All these houses, yes. Brina's, yes. Yeah. I think that's all of the buildings. So all that remains for us to do is to count all the guards. So let's do it as best we can. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. 8 guards. Okay. I can deal with that. All right, that is going to wrap up our survey of Dawnstar. And if I'm not mistaken, this is going to be a pretty historic press conference. So I'm going to send my survey data off to the Bureau. They will write their little report. And I will have a press conference for you in 3, 2, 1. Press conference. All right. Hello. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another employment situation summary. Today, we are going to be discussing the city of Dawnstar in Skyrim. But before we start, the Bureau did want me to communicate to you ahead of time that though this report is pretty remarkable, we will not be sort of delving into the excitement of it. We're sticking to the facts, as we always do here at the Bureau. That's what we do, right? Facts don't care about your feelings. Even if that feeling is positive excitement. So, shall we begin? Total surface payroll employment for Dawnstar is at 33 persons, and unemployment is at 0%, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported today. Dawnstar is a medium-sized port city located on the northern coast of Skyrim, and it serves as a fairly busy and important trading stop for a variety of industries that serve the greater Skyrim region. In addition to providing resupplying and shelter for trade ships, the city is also a prolific mining town, home to 2 active mines that both provide iron and a foreign ore called Quicksilver that we don't have on Earth. So I don't really know what that means. At the time of the Bureau's survey of Dawnstar, and this is what is so remarkable about this report, we were unable to find a single unemployed citizen in the city, and in fact, we struggled to locate anyone who wasn't actively laboring while meeting with our enumerator, including children and the elderly. Much of the employment revolves around the 2 mining companies that work on opposite ends of the municipality. You've got miners to mine raw ore, smelters to make use of the raw ore, a blacksmith to make use of the processed ore, and of course an active shipping port to export goods to the rest of Skyrim. Having one city sort of nearly fully vertically integrated in this way likely makes Dawnstar one of the most ruthlessly efficient local economies in all of Skyrim. That said, a 0% unemployment rate isn't without its risks or idiosyncrasies, the specifics of which can only be known when we look at the underlying systems that have put Dawnstar in this position in the first place. In some ways, it's difficult to pin down, but there are a few facts on the table that guide the Bureau's conclusions. Number 1, the workforce that we surveyed was largely tired, conflict-averse, and dispirited. Number 2, owners and operators of most of the businesses in the city participate in the labor of those businesses, and most of them are relatively well tolerated by their workers. So that's unusual. That's not like a sort of, as we've talked about in the past, that's not capitalism run amok necessarily, right? It could be, but not necessarily. Number 3, the local governor, also known as Jarls in sort of Skyrim parlance. You know, I'm picking up the local lingo as we do our surveys. The local governor is a very angry and very wealthy man, perhaps the only truly wealthy individual in the city, including the owners of the mine. So while at first glance, Dawnstar may look like a classic example of company-town capitalism gone predictably awry, based on our observations of where all this vast resource wealth is actually ending up, something tells us that the local governor is not keen on having much of it taxed or tariffed by the federal government. Certainly, if you talk to him, he will tell you just as much. It actually appears more like an example of top-down fascist capitalism vis-a-vis, whoever's writing these reports is getting a little European with her language. Vis-a-vis 1990s China, rather than the slightly more organic inequality of localized business dictatorship that we saw in early 20th century America. Now, because this universal workforce participation rate, right, this 0% unemployment rate, remarkable as it is, because it is in some sense then held together by force, the Bureau doesn't feel that Dawnstar will suffer any of these so-called downsides of low unemployment that you might hear about when discussing more free-roaming market economies like the United States of 2023, for example. Labor does not seem to move quite as freely here as in the United States, and overall social mobility seems impossible, or at least constrained. This isn't to say that the Bureau approves of the governor's methodology for sustaining this level of unemployment. Indeed, any economy can prop itself up with fascism in the short term, just that where the situation will rear the worst of its effects isn't necessarily going to be comparable to a typical pseudo-free market economy. This is a long report. So where does that leave Dawnstar long term? Well, it's kind of hard to predict, according to the Bureau. There have been plenty of historical examples of these kinds of forced labor economies functioning for decades, and plenty more where they violently collapse or quietly atrophy into new systems of resource redistribution, like social democracies or free market wage servitude. It will likely largely depend on the outcome of the overarching civil conflict in Skyrim, but the Bureau does believe that given Dawnstar's resource abundance and position as a key port, the city does have the potential for sustained economic greatness into the far future if the chips fall appropriately. 0% puts Dawnstar at the top of our list, ahead of the imperial capital of Solitude. This data comes from a direct survey conducted by the Bureau over 5 days. So, a lot to digest there. Certainly, if you have any questions, you can post those down in the comments, and I'll do my best to relay them to the Bureau, get you some high-quality answers. Thank you so much for watching this press conference. Another thing you can post down in the comments is, if you like this video, post down below so I know that you liked it, so you want me to make more things like that. Where should we go next in Skyrim? That's the question. We want to do the whole region, and we're probably, halfway done with all the major cities, I think? Well, if you want to support my continued enumeration of Skyrim, you can certainly go to our Patreon. The names you see scrolling by on the screen, these are the people that make these types of videos happen, so thank you if you are one of them. And certainly if this is the first unemployment report you've watched, you've got plenty more to see on the channel. Thank you so much, everybody. Enjoy the song today, and I will see you next time.